Oh, welcome back, folks. Happy Tuesday. Trump is in Mar-a-Lago, staying down here in Palm Beach. He's going to sign some executive orders later on this afternoon, so it's kind of cool. He's going to fly back, I guess, this evening back to the swamp. But get this, another plane crash has travelers canceling their trips. This time, a Delta plane hit the runway hard upon landing in Toronto, Canada, ripping the wings clean off the plane and flipping completely upside down. Somehow, amazingly, folks, everyone escaped with their lives. I'll have more on that later in the show because it's becoming political, believe it or not. A plane crashes in Toronto, and somehow they're going to blame Trump. We'll get to that in just a minute. Plus, Jim Acosta is back on his BS tour, and I have plenty to say about his latest rant. But before anything else, I want to welcome in Grant Cardone, fund manager, CEO of the Cardone Capital, and CEO of Cardone Training Technologies, among other things. Grant is everywhere. If you're online, you've seen Grant. He's a great follow, folks. He's a great follow.
I try to get in everybody's phone at some point.
And you do. And I got, Grant, it's terrific to have you here. We're lucky to have you. Appreciate your time. A very busy man. We'll get to some of these initiatives that you have, which are really unique, folks. And Grant's an inspirational person just to talk to. You'll see. We'll get to that in a second. But can we just talk a little bit what's going on in D.C. because I come from the finance world. You do as well. Yeah. And this whole idea of DOGE, I think it's wonderful. I'm just going to throw it out there. To save American people taxpayer money, no one should have a problem with it. Liberals seem to want to have a problem with it, but they don't like anything about it because it's Trump, and now Elon Musk has become a target. Let's listen to a quick soundbite on this.
We do need to delete entire agencies as opposed to leave part of them behind, because if you leave part of them behind, it's easy. It's kind of like if they're leaving a weed. If you don't remove the roots of the weed, then it's easy for the weed to grow back. But if you remove the roots of the weed, it doesn't stop weeds from ever growing back, but it makes it harder. So we have to really delete entire agencies, many of them. We really have here rule of the bureaucracy as opposed to rule of the people, democracy. So we want to restore rule of the people. And so what that means is reducing the size of the federal government.
So Grant Cardone, what do you think of DOGE and those on the left who are saying he's not an elected official and they've got a problem with him knowing too much information about taxpayers?
I don't care if he's an elected official. I'm actually glad he's not, number one. Number two, this is, for some of you, DOGE is pronounced doggy. Doggy. This is doggy style management, okay? What that means is, anybody that's a startup, entrepreneur, startup, you buy a new company, or you're going in to fix a company, you go doggy style in this company, which means you gut it. Number one thing you do is you gut, you delete. This is one of Elon's favorite words. And anybody who's ever managed a startup or fixed a company, knows you go in and you cut and you delete. Now, the only people that are scared of that or criticize that are the people that are going to be cut. Okay. It is the vulnerable that worry about this. Now, on the audits, I've been audited 4 times by the state of California and by the federal IRS. They're painful. The California auditing process, by the way, is more painful than federal. I've won all 4 of those audits. I give the IRS one of these every time they come over here. Keep looking, bro. This is what I got for you. And I have nothing to hide. And people are like, why can you do that? How can you, like, what do you, I'm not worried, bro. I'm clean. If you're clean, you're clean. And so
that's right. So what you're saying is if you're clean, you don't sweat an audit. So all these lefties worrying about these audits. Yeah, go ahead.
If you're valuable in the marketplace, if they delete you, they will come back and get you. Meaning your department division is gonna show a result of you being gone, and they're gonna come back and grab you and say, hey, sorry, you were a mistake. By the way, you should delete until you have to add back. This is called zero-based budgeting that the federal government, most companies, and most families don't know how to do today, which means you operate all the way at zero and you start stacking above that. We're so far from zero, though, man.
So I watch Democrats. I want to make this political because they've. Trump famously said, what is the problem with Make America Great Again? What could a Democrat what in the world could they have a problem with making America great again? And I feel the same way about DOGE. What Democrat, what independent, libertarian, anyone would have a problem with cutting the fat? It's our freaking money.
Yeah. Well, the only people that, again, are going to be offended by this or criticize this are going to be those that are found to be stealing from the federal government, which means the taxpayers. Federal government doesn't have any money, as you know, Eric. This is my money and your money. If you paid into it, Social Security, they're going to find all kinds, hundreds of billions of dollars scammed, probably trillions of dollars scammed out of Social Security. I think he said last night it might be the biggest single fraud on planet Earth. They're going to walk into the Federal Reserve, and they might not find to Fort Knox. And one of two things are going to happen, Eric. They're either going to find no gold, or they're going to find more gold than they had accounted or inventoried, which means we've been stealing gold from other countries.
So
either way,
I want to talk about this, Grant. I love this. I was a gold trader for 15 years prior to this, an oil and gold trader, and this is fascinating because it was always how much is there? Is it there? Is it really there? No one's got access to it. There are 147 million troy ounces allegedly there. It's got about almost $500 billion market value today, $2,930 an ounce of gold today. So it's right at $500 billion. And my guess is, Grant, I'm guessing they've been using that stuff. But I mean, before we took the dollar off the gold standard, it was all we had. We backed every single dollar with an ounce of gold. We don't do that anymore, and we've run up deficits. My guess is before they did that, they were yanking some gold out of the treasury. I'm going to guess. I'm going to go with like maybe half. Call me crazy. What's your guess?
Look, man, what's the last time they had an audit was 74 or something?
Yeah, I don't even know that.
They deny any kind of audit. I think somebody said we want to come in. A senator said they want to come in and see it. He said, this is a military compound. You can't come in. He's like, okay, I've been on military installations, okay, all over the world. Okay, you still can't come in. Nobody can see it. Why not? Right? If I told you I own 15,000 units in my apartment portfolio, and you're like, hey, can you show them to me? No, I can't show them to you, Eric. I need you to trust me.
Right.
It's crazy.
Trust me.
By the way, that gold should be the Americans' gold. That should be our gold.
It is. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. But where is it? Why don't they have an? By the way, Grant, you want to talk about an audit? Can you imagine the audit they would turn up with the defense spending? Nearly $1 trillion a year defense spending. We don't. When Zelensky says, "I don't know where $100 billion you sent me are yet," I mean, it's crazy with the number they could come up with.
And then this explains how in Nancy Pelosi, this never made more than, $200,000 a year. Most of the time it was 159 to 179, how she accumulated $268 million in net worth. For those of you that can't do the math, she would have had to earn that 179 for 1,168 years and never spent a penny or paid 1 penny in taxes.
Yeah, you know where she made it?
This is what they've been doing, bro. They've been killing us.
We can do this real quick because I think my audience knows I've been talking about Stock Act forever. Stock Act protects Congress people, senators, elected officials from going to jail for the same thing that Grant and I would go to jail for. If we had inside information and traded on it in a company, on Wall Street, in an IPO, or anything that the public was going to be involved in, if we traded on that, we'd go to jail for insider trading. But Pelosi can make a decision. She can buy a stock knowing that her husband, or her, even better, knowing that the president is going to give $50 billion to chip makers next week. What's going to happen to the chip makers? They're going to explode up. She had insider, but Stock Act protects these son of a bitches, Grant. It's incredibly they still have
and
that.
I think there's ways around that where Elon and DOGE, at the request of the president, will go back and look at Elizabeth Warren, Pelosi, and others who have actually been violating those laws, even though it appeared that she has protection, and hopefully change that. I think all this, Eric, is good news for the American people, Democrat, Republican, or independent, or you don't name yourself anything. The American people, this is how you make America great again. You make it great again, first by confronting its finances, then by doing what Robert Kennedy is going to do and confront the health system.
Good stuff. Let's take a listen to shot number 2, Trump reciprocal tariffs, guys.
And on trade, I have decided for purposes of fairness that I will charge a reciprocal tariff, meaning whatever countries charge the United States of America, we will charge them, no more, no less. In other words, they charge us a tax or tariff, and we charge them the exact same tax or tariff. Very simple. Nobody knows what that number is unless you go by the individual country. You can see what it is if you go to the individual country and you look at what they're charging us. In almost all cases, they're charging us vastly more than we charge them, but those days are over.
So, Grant, there are even conservatives who are split on the tariff issue. Where do you stand in this one?
Well, look, again, this is a businessman using what's called mutual comp agreements. Mutual comp agreements, you and I become partners in a transaction, and we can't decide what we're going to pay each other in the future because we expect the company to get bigger and better. And I say, Eric, look, the simple thing to do is we tie our compensations together. What you pay you, you pay me. What I pay you. Keeps things fair forever. If you become a degenerate and want to spend $1 million and do dumb shit, guess what? I get to do the same thing. It keeps everything in balance. And that is what he's going to do with the reciprocation of tariffs. But I would just say this to everybody. Tariffs are good for America. They are not bad for America. They are not inflative by nature, by the way. The thing that causes inflation is the consumer that decides to pick up a product that is now overpriced. So the consumer is complicit in the inflation. If you keep paying too much for shit, they're going to keep raising the prices on shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know,
simple economics.
I think there's a little theory. I brought it out on a couple of places recently. I did a speech, and then I talked to Piers Morgan last night on Piers Morgan's show. So one of the big inflation drivers, creators, is government spending, inflated government spending, excess government spending. Puts a lot of dollars out there. People feel like they got money that they didn't earn, and they spend it. And they buy things that they may not buy because they didn't earn the money. So it pushes prices up, inflates, government inflates. My point about DOGE is doing the opposite. It's opposite of government spending. It's pulling government spending out of the system without hurting the American people. You're not taxing them more. You're just saving them money, and they're having more money of their own. We will reduce inflation with DOGE rather than increasing inflation with spending the way Democrats love to do.
Yeah, what you'll actually do is cause a deflation.
Right.
By getting layoffs of people that should not be on the federal dole. Right. Not Social Security, Medicare. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the payroll that we're paying these people. I actually put something on X the other day and said for the hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people that are going to be employed with the federal government, we're actually offering jobs at my companies. Everybody except the IRS. We will not hire anyone from the IRS. I said, but before you come to work for our company, we're going to have to provide you with free training on how to work again and how to maybe have a startup or be an entrepreneur or what's expected in the private sector that the government sector, particularly DC, has allowed you guys to get away with.
One quick question before we get to 10 times, like the logo on your hoodie there. 10X. Sorry, I screwed that up. So I apologize. He warned me in advance too. 10X. Hold on. But so these people who've come over, I'm thinking Jeff Bezos all of a sudden offers Melania Trump a $40 million, thing on Amazon Prime, and Mark Zuckerberg is coming over, hat in hand, and all these new tech bros that just want to make their way onto the Trump train. What do you think? I'm a little offended by it. I don't love the idea. How do you take it?
Dude, I like a book deal, I like the book deal. That's what look, I've been supportive of Trump since the very beginning. I'm a Trump guy, so I've supported him through the ups and the downs and when he wasn't popular. If I was Facebook, I'd be doing the same thing, bro. I'd be over there hugging it out with him in Mar-a-Lago as much as I could. The guy is a threat. He is a threat to business as usual, and he's good for America. So I'm a threat in my environment. I run a great company. We started from zero. I've never used government money. It's a hostile environment out there. Mm-hmm. If you guys haven't noticed, it's hostile, man. It's scary. Banks are freaking predators. Wall Street will kill you, eat you up. Inflation will gobble you up. Then the taxes are crazy. So you want to survive on this planet, you got to get tough. And Donald Trump is the toughest of the tough. He never quits. And that's our leader right now. And hopefully he's going to put the weak, the doggy, they're going to get doggy style on the weak. And that's called DOGE.
Get doggy style on the weak. I'll say it again. I don't care what you think of Trump. You can't teach this when he gets shot, almost assassinated, shot through the ear. His first response, it just ingrained response was to stand up.
He turned into a marketer right there. That second, he hit the ground and he's like,
You think he was calculating how do I play this? How do I score?
100%.
Do you really?
A business is only as good as you can market it. You have to market the business, a brand, a name, everything.
Grant, I want to spend more time with you, brother. We're going to go hang out. We're going to have cocktails. I hope you drink. I'm going to drink some vodka and just listen to you. I love your philosophy. Before we go, tell me about 10X.
So look, I almost lost my house in Malibu. Probably got $20 million worth of damage. I'm not asking anybody to feel sorry for me, but it's on the PCH, Carbon Beach. We'll have a drink there, Eric. All of my neighbors, 18 of my neighbors lost their homes. I'm having a meeting right now, right after I get off this with you, about the California Coastal Commission, because I'm working with a group of people in California to end the Coastal Commission that is responsible for these fires and the amount of damage that was inflicted on all these families. Okay, so I'm surrounded by like 100 homes that completely lost everything. One lady had $1.7 million worth of insurance, and the home's a $14 million home. She's been there 45 years. Her entire net worth was in that house, and she got fucked. And so 10X California.com is me going back there trying to rile the people up and to get them off this. I've got to vote Democrat. I'm a Democrat. Bro, y'all got to stop this shit. This is crazy. You're losing the greatest resource in America is the state of California, bar none. That is not even an argument. It's better than every other, New Jersey, New York, you name it. Pick it. Florida, I'm in Florida. I live here. Better than Texas. It's better than all that shit. It's the 5th largest economy in the world. And it's massive. It's very, very important to the United States of America that we don't lose California. Economically, this one event, these big fires that got out of control and that they mishandled and have for years could literally be a $700 billion event, bigger than the TARP bailout.
How in the world?
So I'm trying to get the people excited over there.
How in the world is a guy as just poorly handled when he was mayor of San Francisco? He took a budget surplus of, I think, $5 billion, turned it into a $20 billion deficit in his term as governor of California. How does Newsom get off thinking he has a shot to win a presidency in 2028, Grant?
Well, he doesn't have a shot. And by the way, Kamala can't go win California either. Okay, they have problems so big now. I mean, the liberal crazies now are kind of trapped. And the Republicans could actually flip the state of California to a red state and win 54 electoral votes if, for the next 18 months, they keep the pressure on the governor and on the mayor and on the Coastal Commission and the environmentalists that you guys caused this shit. Homes do not need to burn down in the state of California. I don't care if you have a fire every week. And I can prove it to you because there's not one golf course anywhere in the state of California that has ever burned because they're irrigated. Okay, they never burn. Okay, now the homes were not irrigated because it's not a priority. Instead, the trans are a priority, drugs in the streets are a priority, illegal immigration's a priority. Fucking everything's a fucking priority there except the people.
Right.
The homeless have homes and the homeowners are homeless in the state of California.
That son of a bitch.
That's what we're doing in Tennessee.
That son of a bitch, governor of California, of yours, I guess, if you're you have a place there too, cleaned up the city of San Francisco for Xi Jinping and then it was a dump, pigsty. People are shitting the streets. He comes in, they clean it up for a week. Xi Jinping leaves, go back at it. I mean, what the hell? They got to be crazy.
They collect more money in taxes there than anywhere. They have more money than any other state, and they still fuck it up.
But you imagine you turn that state red, that's game changer. Then all bets are off forever.
You don't even need Pennsylvania anymore.
You don't need 100%. Take it, though. Why not? Grant Cardone, always good talking to you, my friend. We'll talk offline. We're going to get that vodka. I'm going to talk you into a vodka. Peace.
You won't have to talk me into it.
All right. Thank you, Grant. So Jim Acosta, that absolute disgrace, former CNN anchor and diligent leftist machine propaganda soldier, says that the media, all the media, including us, should boycott the Trump White House. In other words, Jim Acosta is calling for the media to shed their pretend veneer of pretend journalism and to instead act openly like the partisan activists they really are. Hoax, 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 oh yeah, hoax again. These hacks pretending to be journalists are being exposed for who they really are. Out of the closet sufferers of Trump derangement syndrome, but they're butthurt and they're trying to take everyone else down with them too. They've learned absolutely nothing. Let's get into it. A little reminder of Jim Acosta's illustrious career of peddling lies to the American people. Listen.
This is not Fox, Congressman. You can't just spin a tail and pull the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah.
This is CNN. This is the news. We are asking you to come on and tell the truth. It's an alarming choice for a man who has often struggled to unequivocally denounce white supremacists. You recall these moments.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Those words have power. They have meaning. And when Donald Trump speaks, the world listens. Neo-Nazis and white supremacists certainly listen. So why can't he denounce them? Why can't he reject their support?
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
What's your response to Donald Trump saying she should be fired, that Liz Cheney should be fired upon? He keeps speaking in these very extreme terms about the potential dangers to the country if he doesn't win in November. He's used words like bloodbath.
So old hoaxy Jim wants everyone to ban the Trump administration until the ban on the Associated Press is lifted, since they refuse to call the Gulf of America what it's really called. Rather, they would prefer, AP would really prefer that old name that's no longer useful or used anywhere in America, Gulf of Mexico.
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that.
Pretty simple, AP. It's simple, really. Call it what it is called. Tell the truth, or else you don't deserve to dispense information to the American people, especially from the White House briefing room. It's pretty simple. The legacy media still can't get used to being called out on their BS. And with each passing day, it's becoming more clear and clearer that they've learned absolutely nothing, twisting the truth or just telling outright lies. And even worse, peddling propaganda for the Democrat liberal machine. CBS shilling for doing away with the First Amendment in Germany just this past Sunday.
In the United States, most of what anyone says, sends, or streams online, even if it's hate-filled or toxic, is protected by the First Amendment as free speech. But Germany is trying to bring some civility to the World Wide Web by policing it in a way most Americans could never imagine.
Civility. How about the First Amendment? Oh, they don't have a constitution like ours, do they now? Or how about this one? This one blew my mind yesterday. A plane crashes. Within minutes, some dumbass NBC person blaming President Donald Trump for a plane crash in Canada within minutes of the crash. And again, like I said, just yesterday.
I did want to, underscore, to pick up on the conversation you were just having, though, in terms of the recent string of aviation incidents, Tom. This is going to yet again raise the concern about FAA staffing, air traffic control staffing. Now, this is a Canadian air traffic control tower, and this is under Canadian authority once it crosses the border. And yet, as you know, there has been this talk about maybe staff cuts at the FAA as a part of President Trump's effort to trim down the federal workforce.
So a crash occurred in Canadian airspace in Toronto, in Canada, but somehow this dumbass on NBC wants to blame Trump for staffing in America. Notice how he admits for just a split little second right there that the FAA, the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration, really has nothing at all to do with a crash in Canada, but they still feel it necessary to talk about the work of DOGE to streamline our government. By the way, that NBC reporter, turn in your journalism card, you hack. And of course, while that work clearly had nothing at all to do with what happened on that runway yesterday, the NBC propaganda news network still felt it necessary to throw that in there. Folks, we don't hate the legacy media enough. So, sickened by the Trump derangement syndrome that they can't even help themselves. Blame Trump for a crash in Canada. What's next? But this is a new low right there, even lower than that. Mehdi Hassan, remember this clown? An anti-American former Qatari state-backed political operative who worked at MSNBC before leaving that disgraced network, in disgrace, by the way, usually takes to X. This time he took to X in a since-deleted tweet and urges for more airplane crashes. What the real F? A reminder of who Mehdi Hassan is. Mehdi Hassan was a radical Muslim in the UK before later being allowed to emigrate to the United States and becoming a naturalized citizen. He recently expressed fury on CNN after a conservative commentator made a joke about his pager going off after the Hezbollah militants were targeted. Never mind that the governor of our 51st state, Canada, was nowhere to be found for hours after that crash in Toronto. And why? Well, because he was too busy hanging out with Prince Harry, a fellow emasculated fellow, to talk about the important issues of the day, like how much soy milk is too much, and is there such a thing as too much soy milk and soy and froth and so on. In another delicious takedown of the legacy media, Mark Caputo, Politico journalist, yes, Politico, the beneficiary of millions in USAID aid and proud member and peddler of Trump-hating garbage, took to X to write this quote. This is a guy, Politico. President Trump's decision to limit AP reporters' access is as much fight over the Gulf of America as it is a protest of what White House advisors say is years of liberal word choices that AP's influential style book has spread across mainstream media, to which Mehdi Hassan, who we mentioned it for calling out plane crashes, took to X to post that message and write, "Hey, J.D. Vance, I know you're busy lecturing the Europeans on free speech, but have you seen this?" And this takedown makes me realize just how great a pick J.D. Vance truly was and is for vice president. And J.D. Vance writes in response to Mehdi Hassan, "Yes, dummy, I think there's a difference between not giving a reporter a seat in the White House press briefing room and jailing people for dissenting views. The latter is a threat to free speech. The former is not. Hope that helps." Mehdi. Again, these legacy media goons just can't fathom being called out on their BS. It's so new to them. And yet, it's been a long time in coming, to say the least. Liars, clowns, jackals, leftist machine shills. So Jim Acosta is calling for the legacy media, or the leftist machine media, whichever you prefer, both truthful, to boycott the Trump White House because he's still butthurt that President Trump is president.
Mr. Trump, will you apologize about January 6th?
Well, I, for one, hope they take him up on that. It would certainly free up those press room seats at the White House for truth tellers. By the way, I got my pass, so expect me there. For those who believe in honesty and in conveying the actual truth, not the left's truth, the lies, the bullshit, and they peddle it to the American people every single day. All right, folks, another plane crash yesterday, as we just talked about, this time in Toronto. Can you believe it? Somehow, miraculously, nobody died. Take a look at this wild video of the incident, which is raising a ton of questions right now about how the heck this even happened. Look at this plane crash, plane lands, captain landed too hard landed, completely destroying the plane's landing gears. And you see it rolls to the side into a plume of black smoke, tore both of the wings off the airplane. This is a Delta flight where nothing is said to have gone mechanically wrong with the airplane itself. So how did this all happen? We need answers. Bolling out. See you tomorrow.